the risk that he's incurring there, again, is phenomenal because now guys can't see as well. You know, a Marine's confidence at night is always less. I've seen guys get shot just on straight live fire maneuver ranges at night. If he would have screwed that up, and not him, like, that's releasing control to your subordinates. On range 400, a commander barely controls anything in front of him. You know, I mean, it's like, I got to trust you to do your job, I got to trust you to do your job. He was trusting his subordinates to do their jobs and gaining confidence that is immeasurable at personal sacrifice, in my personal opinion. So, again, now the guy's at 27 Division, moving around at night, trying to shoot with an aiming device that is, you know, maybe on target, maybe not on target.
And the aiming device being
Pack 2, yeah, Pack 4 back then.
Pack 4,
yeah.
Pack 2, okay.
So, yeah, I mean...
So each weapon system has a laser...
Each weapon system has a laser. And again, like, I wasn't there. You know, it's a history thing. But, you know, if they zeroed them properly, it was on target. If, you know, I don't know if everyone had one. The saws back in the day, I don't remember a Milstead rail that they could be mounted on at the time, depending, you know what I'm saying? So it was all like, oh wait, maybe they had the top Picatinny rail, don't know. A lot of risk. I mean, just massive amounts of risk incurred.
And in a non-illuminated night attack, fire team leader, squad leader, platoon commander, how do they maintain control of their units?
Good ones by just pure leadership. The fire team leader gets down, everybody gets down around him. You know, but everybody's got to have a situational awareness well beyond themselves. So it's a matter of, it is the fighter leader at that point. I can't yell and tell you to do things because you can't see me or see what the hell I'm doing. Okay,
and then back into the main narrative here that we're talking about with you. And I was going to cover talent next, but we actually kind of covered that. And we would just ask you to kind of walk the dog through your deployment into Ramadi 2. There were, you know, 3 briefs. You talked about the Lima Pyramid, which isn't, and the setting the dope when you get there, and the out brief.
Okay, for setting the dope, there were a couple things that I did initially. Just setting the dope on the initial weapon of getting to the unit. I created what was called 10 Commandments. And these 10 Commandments are stolen a little bit from the German paratroopers. But like I used them throughout. Like any good commandment, you're going to continually use it. And it has applicability across the board. The first one was make yourself hard to kill. You know, and the deal is about making yourself hard to kill. This occurs every single day. You know, not just in the combat zone, but the methods are exactly the same wherever you are. Your focal point should be physical toughness, mental toughness, tactical proficiency, and technical proficiency. And some people get those all confused, and they're never even close to the same. Like every one of those is completely different. So those are the 4 pillars of making yourself hard to kill. If you had all those things, you're good. And that's the funny thing. Like I remember my brother asked me, like, "What's it like, you know, to learn how to kill people?" I was like, "Killing people's easy. It's the staying alive part that's rough." You know what I mean? Like, staying alive is the tricky part. Number 2 was cultivate a brotherhood. For by the aid of your fellow Marines, you will conquer or die. And this is, don't create adversarial relationships if you don't have to. Don't hate somebody just because it's fun. Don't go after a Marine because he's got financial problems. Help him out. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Yeah. Men act while boys chatter. About past actions of bravery. Chatter without action will bring you to the grave. And this was old guys, don't need to talk about it, just show me. You know what I mean? Don't try and tell the old guys, you know, the new guys how tough you are, just show me. The most precious thing in the presence of the foe is ammunition. He who shoots uselessly merely to comfort himself is a man of straw. Huge in the court environment. And they used to use it all the time. Like, don't you dare be a man of straw. Don't you dare be a coward without knowing where your target is. And always talking to them about that. Like, always hitting on that one. Like, a coward will shoot without a target. You know, it takes a real man to save the trigger until he knows what he's aiming at. And so that one was used massive amounts. Number 6, this is some old stuff, but still good. It's like, never surrender or let the fear of death override your duty to your fellow Marines. To you, there are worse things than death. And you know, that was the point of, sometimes we're going to have to stand in the streets and do some things that are uncomfortable to you, but like, there are things worse than death, and cowardice is one of them to any Marine. You can only triumph over your enemy. You can only triumph if you can kill your enemy. See to it that you submit yourself to this law. I care for and master first my weapon, then my gear, then myself. So that whole thing of you can't eat chow until X happens, you can't do Y. You must grasp the commander's intent in every mission so that if your leader is killed, you yourself can fulfill it. Old school stuff, but making sure like every Marine understood what I really wanted. And this is why I did commander intent briefs. I'd just go see all the squad leaders. I'd go see all the Marines and just travel to bases and would give PowerPoints to make them see what they were doing and believe in what they were doing. Complacency kills. Never let yourself or your fellow Marines fall into that death trap. That you are already good enough. Find and fix every flaw. Be ever vigilant against laziness. And like I pointed out to where we screwed this up in Iraq, like laziness hurt us at times, and I just wasn't good enough of a commander to keep it squashed. The enemy is always watching. Make no plan, no action, no movement that does not deceive him to your true course of action. Through our use of cunning and deception, the enemy will fear to make any move against us. And so that was like those were the ones that were my guiding factors. Like when I tried to talk, like those were the things. They were broad brushed enough, but specific enough to be able to come at the Marines through the initial dope of the weapon. And whenever I talked about things like that's what I got onto. Then the next thing I did is when I went to that was our initial outset. So when we went to Mojave Viper, getting set up for Mojave Viper, we went through the Cat C portion, which is the combined arms maneuver portion, and to show you how good this unit was.
And what date was Mojave Viper?
Mojave Viper was April. March-April time frame. Now, to show you how good this unit was, and I want to stress this, like I had only been in command for like 3 weeks when we hit Mojave Viper. So like the impact that I had on these Marines was minimal. They were just this good. When they finished range 400, we were considered the top 5% of any unit that has ever gone through. And later on I had a Coyote who was instructing us saying he's only seen one unit that ever came as close to us as going through it. It was that flawless. Like we never had a single hitch. It was phenomenal. The Marines were that damn good. And our philosophy, like Nahika and I's ability to communicate and flow and the planful, and they were that good. So a lot of confidence coming out of range 400.
So two things. I mean, I wasn't aware of the graded range 400. I mean,
it's a mental grading, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. And then the competence in third generation warfare skills is essential to
absolutely. I have a diagram that will show that actually. And again, like you're thinking too dynamic. I'll break it down simpler if you want me to. Right after this, the next thing about Mojave Viper, we can talk about that. The Mojave Viper piece. So then we go into what's called a DAC, which is a deliberate assault course against a kind of semi-urban facility, an urban facility, and then another one. I know a guy who was at TTCG for 3 years, and he said he only saw 3 units ever get to the third objective. Most units are all stopped at the first 2. You just don't have enough time. That unit, Lima Company's unit, was so good that we got stopped because of a safety issue with a MICLIC not firing correctly for 30 minutes and still made it to the third objective.
Talking about in range 400?
Well, no, what they call the DAC now.
Oh, okay.
It's an urban facility, like they have a true urban facility, 360 shoot, gunfight, another objective, a takeover for the old MAC.
This is a live fire.
It's a live fire, yeah, deliberate assault course through Mount and through a couple other objectives. Like only 3 units had ever made it at that time to the third objective. Okay. And like I'm telling you, like it wasn't me. Like, and we even had a casualty, a real world casualty during that assault course and still didn't stop us. And kids had a 50 cal blow up in his face. I went over, evac'd him, pushed him out, and made everybody just keep going. Like, no, I mean, it was really like